Good evening, everybody. It's that time of week again for Toolshed Tuesday and Tales from the Bush. What I want to talk about tonight is Alaska reality shows. Are these things real? Are they staged? Are they 100% fake? Do these people actually live up here? What do they do? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Now, first of all, I got a little bit of notes over here, so you may see me looking over here from time to time. But the shows, I do like some of the shows. And I do have some first-hand knowledge from one of the cameramen, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So the shows we're talking about, first of all, let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, there's Alaska, The Last Frontier. There's South Alaska down on the Kenai Peninsula area. There's Bush People. We all know those idiots. Life Below Zero. That's filmed up northern Alaska. And then Building Alaska. Okay, now the one thing you have to realize about these shows is that they are drama, okay? This comes straight out of LA, out of California. Producers many years ago found these people and they threw them on TV. And of course, when that film and footage comes back, Hollywood puts its horror spin on everything and creates all the drama, when 9 times out of 10 there isn't any. So let's talk about these shows. Are they real? First thing you have to realize is that yes, all these shows and all these people are real. They're real people just like you and me. They're out in some remote wilderness, remote part of Alaska, just living their life. And then one day they got contacted by somebody and said, hey, look, we want to film a show about you guys. We'll have cameramen just following you around, and you just live your life, pay attention to what's going on in front of you, and we're just going to film. And we'll bundle that and package it into a TV show, edit it and everything else, and then we'll ship it off to the rest of Americans. So these people are real. They're just hanging out. They were approached. And so I'll start with this story right here. This was a number of years ago when the Iditarod was going through. Now, one of the checkpoints for the Iditarod is about 23 miles from me. And it's right next to a lodge called Squintina Roadhouse. Squintina Lodge. So it's a very popular lodge. It's right at the apex of 2 rivers. The Yentna and the Squintina rivers come together, and they're right in the middle right there. So real popular lodge, been there for many years. It's also a checkpoint. So many years ago, I was up there having some beers, enjoying company of other people and whatnot, and there was a plane coming from northern Alaska trying to get back to Anchorage. And they made it halfway, and a snowstorm forced them to stop at a runway that's right next to that lodge. Okay, so there was a big party going on at the lodge too that weekend. So I myself was going to go home that day, but the snowstorm blew in. I got out on the river to head home, and it started getting dark. I couldn't see 15 feet in front of my face. I turned back around, went back there, cracked another beer. So while I'm there, I befriended this guy. A bunch of us were hanging out on the deck. It's snowing all over us. We're drinking beers. Huge bonfire going off. And so this guy and I kind of befriended each other. And I started talking with him. And he said that he was a cameraman on a show called Life Below Zero, which is the one that's filmed up north. And of course I was like, oh, I watched that one and this one and this one. And we got to talking, and he just spilled the beans on the whole thing. So I'll try to remember the best I can of what this guy told me, but he said for the most part, he's like, all these people and the situations and the country they're in, that's all real. So when a show first contacts these people and signs them up, and then a crew starts following them, that first season, they let these people just go about their daily lives. Whatever they're doing on a day-to-day basis, just do it, and we're going to film you. And so he basically said that after they get so many hundreds of hours or thousands of hours of footage from the people that they're going to try to bundle and put into a show and sell to some producer or some big screen back in LA, says, so the first year, it's a legitimate show. They're living their normal lives. Once they bundle all this film and footage up, and they package it, and then they try to sell it to a network, and if the network picks it up, all of a sudden they've got something. What they'll do is they'll sign a 2-3-year contract. Not the people, but the producers will sign a 2-3-year contract Uh-oh. Uh-oh, boys. Looks like my light's going dead on me. I'm going to have to figure something out here. So, hold on 1 second, guys. Alright, I'm going to keep it low, guys. So the first year is completely real. They put all this footage together. They go down to LA. You're kidding, right? See, nothing works like it should out here. It's always an issue, always a problem. But you just deal with it. Alright? So, let me go get another light, gentlemen. Alright guys, just fixed that problem. Had to move on to another light. Okay, so they put the film in the can, they run down to LA, they bundle it, they package it, and they try to sell it to a network. The network will then sign them to a 2 to 3 year deal, contract. So, the producers and the camera people, now that they've got a viable contract going, they will run back up to Alaska and film these people. So now we're starting into season number 2. Once you get into season number 2, they still let these people go about their daily lives, their daily routines and whatnot. But when they start to see when the action starts dying down a little bit, when things start becoming a little too stale, that's when a producer will fly in and start giving them what's known as a soft script. And that's act this way, do this, create drama over here. Do you guys want to go do something? We'll put you on an expedition or something. They're basically just trying to move things along. Okay? They don't want it to get stale. So what the guy was telling me is that by the 3rd season, 4th season, when they re-up that contract, and I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the producers. When the producers re-up a contract with a network, that second re-up, it's big money. Okay? First year, the people, they don't really make jack, okay? They're making something per episode that airs, but they're making nowhere near this big dollar money that you're hearing about. Second season, yeah, they're going to get a nice little bump in pay. 3rd, 4th, 5th season, 6th season, 7th, 8th, 9th, yeah. If there's a show you've been watching that's at least run for 5 to 11 years, after about the 5th year, most of those families, most of those people are probably making anywhere from $125,000 to $600,000 per episode. Okay, so we all know the Bush people. Okay, that whole family running around down there acting like they were poor and everything. Well, they were, okay? Like most people, they're just scraping by, except they were scraping by off in the bush. By the time they hit their 3rd season, because that show was so wildly popular, they were making $1 million an episode. There's 10 to 12 episodes in a year. You can start doing the math on that. So when season 4 showed up, they would still come back out into the wilderness and act like a bunch of poor dumb rednecks. Oh my goodness, if we don't shoot this animal, we're going to die. Or we're not going to have enough food to get through the week. Yeah, right. You got a bank account with about $7 million in it. Shut up. So that's when they start becoming extremely fake. And so this guy just spilled the beans on everything. So back to that. So when I was talking with him, he was a personal filmer for Life Below Zero. And what he told me is that any one family can have between 6 to 7 cameramen. So what they'll do is they'll rotate these cameramen in because they do not want the families getting acquainted and getting to know the cameraman. Because they're supposed to just go about what they're doing and he's just a fly on the wall. You're not supposed to look at him and talk to him and address him and everything else. So basically what I'm trying to get to is by the 3rd, 4th year, guys, all these shows just run sideways. They're full scripts. So he was telling me by the 3rd, 4th year, especially the 4th year, what will happen is instead of just the cameraman being there, instead of just him being there filming, a producer will also be on site full time. Because the show's obviously been renewed, it's been picked up, the numbers are that much higher, and we've got to get more viewers, etc., more ad revenue coming in. So there has to be a producer there to make sure that things keep flowing along. more and more people start watching, so they can bring in more and more ad revenue. So the guy was like, look, by the 4th season, these damn things might as well just be shot back in LA in a sound studio in a screen room. And I was like, really? So while I'm talking with him, I won't tell you what season it was, because I don't want to get the guy in trouble. But he told me the whole damn season, what happened with all the players on Life Below Zero. He told me things that I wouldn't see for another 6 months, 7 months. And when I finally did watch it, a few of the episodes, I already knew exactly what was going to happen. It was kind of funny, you know, just how the whole thing goes on and on. But the number one thing they do, the whorehouse down in LA, is they'll take this footage from up here. And a lot of times they make you look like bumbling idiots. You can't control any of the content. And then with all the script going on, fall off that roof for us. Pretend like you're hurt. Act like you're stuck. Act like your machine doesn't run anymore. And now you got to start walking back home. So somebody will be riding their snow machine out in the middle of nowhere, and then he'll hit the kill switch on the damn thing. And so it dies. And he still has the kill switch on. So the cameraman's there, of course, and he's trying to start his machine. He's looking at spark plugs, and he's looking at gas, and he's doing everything else. And he kicks the machine a few times, and, oh, my God, I'm 19 miles from home. This is going to be horrible. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes on and on and on, right? And then so he'll start walking down the trail, pitch black, and of course L.A. will make a howling sound like there's a wolf real nearby. Ooh, you know, or a goblin or something out there. So they'll start walking down the trail. They'll walk down the trail 30, 40 yards, turn right back around, undo the kill switch, start the damn machine, and go home. That's what the whorehouse down in L.A. does. And they pretty much do that with every single TV show they produce and air for your enjoyment. It's garbage. The first year, you're getting to see who these people really are. Now, I will say this. A lot of the people on there look like great people. And I tell you what, if you were paying me $50,000 an episode, $200,000 an episode, $1 million an episode, boy, I'd be Pinocchio. You can string. I'll jump off roofs. I'll play like my back's broken. I'll do the machine. I'll be as drama as you want to get. For $400,000 an episode, I would sell everybody on this planet down the river and act like a total Pinocchio actor, presenting it as real the whole time. So you got to start looking at it in that way. But I don't really think I would sign up for one of those shows. As a matter of fact, one of my neighbors, he says he was approached about 6 or 7 years ago, and he was just like, oh no, something just seems inherently wrong about that. And another thing is, over the years, I've been watching a channel called Boss of the Swamp. And apparently, I've been watching him for 7 years now, I believe. So that guy was telling, I believe he told the story a number of times to where, of course, he was approached, and, you know, this was back when he was trapping beaver, and that's back what his channel used to be, was him skinning out beavers and talking about furs. And he had a bunch of good wildlife scenes, too. But a lot of his videos were trapping beavers. And he was approached, and I think that guy's just a little bit more grounded than a lot of people. You know, he didn't see the money signs. You know, Boss of the Swamp is one of those guys to where if he said yes 6, 7 years ago, and he was still doing it now, that guy'd be making $2-3 million an episode. You know, because there's only 10 episodes in a year. But he just has that likable personality. That's the guy you want to invite to a barbecue. That's the guy you want to crack a beer with. And, I mean, hell, I sure would. Now, I'm not saying all these people in these shows have sold their soul to the devil in search for a big paycheck. You know, I think that they do the best they can with what they've got. Okay? Producers are telling them, yeah, we'll put this in, we won't put that in, don't worry, we got you back. They have no control over it. But at the same time, just like anything else in life, you get addicted to that money coming in. If you're living remote Alaska, and all of a sudden you got $25,000 an episode coming in, start doing the math, guys. You know? What I don't like about those shows, and this part's fake as hell, once again, and I highlighted it with the Bush people, is all these shows, once they get picked up and these people start making money and whatnot, You never see them with new cars or new snow machines or new ATVs or brand new shiny rifles and shotguns and Leopold scopes and all that stuff. It's almost like the producers are saying, listen, we want you to be just as poor as the day you were when we found you. Okay? So whenever we shoot or film, don't tell people that you got a brand new $68,000 Chevy Silverado and all this other stuff, all right? Just go back to playing, your regular self, your poor, Pinocchio. I'm a boy, I'm a real boy, look at me. And I see some of these shows, and that's what I think the characters are in there. It's just like, it's complete fabrication. Their noses would be growing if you watch slow enough. So, let's see. One thing I do want to talk about is Building Alaska. Now, I don't know if that show is still around. It was for a couple years. It got picked up for a couple seasons. And on that show, what they did is they followed around some builders who build in remote locations, kind of like where I'm at. No roads, no power, no running water, maybe a couple rivers, that's it. Everything has to be helicoptered in or bush flown in. That show, I loved it. A, because it showed you simple bushcraft building techniques. Yeah, a lot of times they were building stick-built houses, but they damn sure weren't to code, and they were built like a solid brick stuff house. So I did enjoy that show. And what they were doing is they were following around builders, like I said, and real good guys, man. Knowledgeable. If you can't do it this way, do it this way. If you don't have this, use this. And I did like that show a lot. But that was years ago, the last time I saw one of those episodes. Now, I will say this. The most popular show out there, Alaska, The Last Frontier. Okay, now that show was the second show or the first show that just took off. But it was because of a number of factors. Because all the characters in that are solid people. They're good, solid people. All people that you'd want to be around. As a matter of fact, one of the guys in the show, his daughter is Jewel, the country singer. She's loaded. You know what I'm saying? So, watching that show after about the second or third, fourth year, they start putting in all that crap. If we don't kill this moose, we may starve this winter. And the whole time I would hear that stuff, I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? There's a truck in a driveway. Get in your damn truck and drive 13 miles to the nearest town where there's a grocery store. Starve because they can't kill an animal. They're on grid. Not to mention, they own 100 head of cattle. But, once again, the whorehouse, the one, L.A., spends all this crap. And once again, they'll follow them out in the bush when they go hunting, and they'll just create drama. Oh, they got caught out in the nighttime. The temperatures will be plummeting to 80 below, and dun 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 dun. BS, man. That is BS. They'll film the start of a night coming on, and then they'll play in the darkness for an hour or two, and then they'll play like they go to bed and they get right back up, get on their machines, and get to a tent somewhere. Okay? They're not going to needlessly put these people in harm's way. Especially after they've been picked up for years. Why would you? So that show was just 1-800 drama, and it sucked because I liked the characters in it. But I think after the 5th or 6th year, I was just like, these people aren't off-grid, they're on-grid. There's a truck in their driveway, there's a damn power cord half a mile down their road, they're 7 or 12 miles out of a town, they got 100 head of cattle, they have everything they possibly need, they're not off-grid, they're not struggling, they're not surviving in any way, shape, or form. But I did love this show because they were great people. What I did find weird, and I kind of feel a little torn about talking about this, but the bush people, back on them, okay? That's kind of weird, don't you think? 33-year-old, sons living with mom and dad and 2 younger daughters, all in cramped little quarters for many years, year after year, before they got picked up and started making all the money. Just something's odd about that. I mean, didn't any one of those guys, the boys, ever think, hey man, I want to go get laid. I need to go into town and get a beer or go get laid or something. This isn't cutting it. But it just seems like they were such a tight little pack. They never left each other alone. They howl at the moon. And now I don't know how much of that crap's real. But nevertheless, I just think it's weird when you got 30, 35-year-old children all living at home with mom and dad, and the boys don't want to go get laid or they don't want to go get jobs and start building their own life, building their own families. So I always thought that was just a little weird. I don't know how you guys think about it, but when you look at it, it's almost like inbred rednecks. You find them in a valley somewhere, cut off tribe. You didn't even know they were there. They didn't even know civilization was out there. It's just weird to me. So I don't know. All right, so I guess that's about it, guys. That's just my take on the whole spin. Another thing, if you want to know a little bit more about the Bush people, there's a guy who does a video series called Wood Stove Wednesdays, and it's My Alaskan Dream. And this was a number of weeks or months ago, I think. He did one on the Bush people too, he was working with a guy, and he was like, look, I know these Bush people, and he's like, you're more Bush than these people are. And basically, when Brian said that, I was basically like, okay, if this guy personally knows them, he knows that they were probably rednecks until they got picked up and started making big money. So the last I heard about them is they lived down in Seattle in huge homes. Now, the mother got sick, and I'm sorry for that, okay? That does hurt my heart when anybody gets really sick like that. But, so they live down in Seattle. So if there's any more episodes of Alaskan Bush people, it's because they're flying up here, going out to their property, and doing the whole Pinocchio thing again. Look at me, we're poor Bush people. And it's like, okay, whatever. But My Alaskan Dream, that guy did a show, an episode, and he mentioned the Alaska reality series, and he had some personal fresh-hand knowledge too. So I just figured that I'd throw mine out there as well. So look, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. If you got any funny stories you want to hear, if you want to hear something that you would like me to talk about, I've got plenty of tales of me wandering around out here and running into things. So I'll get to them when I can. But if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them below. Teresa and I love reading them. We really do. Hold on one second. That's a good one. Put your comments down below. Give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Take care of each other. Keep your boots dry. Best of luck to all of you. From Alaska, signing off.